In the heart of God are all the treasures of God. The treasures of God are hidden from men. And because man had no way of knowing how he came into being, he had no way of knowing how God exists as everything that exists, and why God is omnipotent and ever present everywhere. We have given unto you the wisdom of God, never ever revealed to man, that in teaching and preaching, the children of your God would wake up to the realization that they were lost in a world they never knew, they could not have known, would not have known, because they had not the divine of your Father and Mother God within them. Many came and left and never knew that in all the ways that they existed, they knew not who they were. And because the children of God did not remember where they came from, they also didn't know who they were. And so they were lost in a world that they did not know, because they were lost in a world they did not belong to. In giving unto you the way to know that all things began in spirit and manifested in visible ways, we had given unto you to know that all things that are of spirit are the things that are life, and all things that are life are the things that are God. And so the spirit that is the life that everyone and everything has is God. And because everything that is visible has it, everything that is visible works according to the way that the spirit that is the life in them is. Man walks in a world he doesn't know because he has no way of knowing that the world in which he lives is a world that also has a spirit, and that the spirit that is of the world manifests the world in its seen form. So that when man did not know that everywhere he lives on earth, he is living in the way of the spirit of earth that manifests itself as earth and all that there is on earth. And so no one understands the wisdom of your God, because no man knows from whence he came and how he happens to be the way that he is. Man has eyes, but he sees not what is shown to him. And whatever he is given to see, he cannot translate it into the way in which it is given to be known. For every seen thing manifests itself to man in a way that the Spirit manifests itself. And when the children of God did not remember what they were taught, they too had no knowledge as to how everything exists as spirit and only manifests the way in which the Spirit is in it. As there is a world that is seen, there's also a world that is unseen. And the unseen world is the world of spirit. All spirits came from the unseen spirit world and manifests itself in the seen material world. Whenever it was said that the spirit returns to God, it returns back to the life that is in the spirit world. For all life is of spirit. All life is of spirit. And we showed that to man, because we showed man whenever the spirit leaves the temple or body called man, it has become lifeless. It has no life left in it. So that man would have known that he exists only in the way in which his spirit that is in him exists. And every way man exists because the spirit exists in him. He manifests from himself the way his spirit is. As in heaven, so on earth, we had said to them, as above, so below. In every way, man's institutions of learning are structured in various levels. So too in the realm of spirit are all things structured. So there are some spirits that are at a low level, and there are some spirits that are at a high level, and those that are yet at a higher level. And we have said to you, however man is or behaves on earth, that is the way his spirit is. How his spirit is tells you what level it is at in the spirit world. And no man understands these things. For every way that many left, the spirit returned back to the spirit world at the level at which it manifested itself on earth. God knows all the ways to show man why it is that he was in the dark of all things that he couldn't have known. Because God told the whole world darkness fell upon man. And what God said to man is what God meant. Without the light of the divine, you could know nothing, and you would never know the truth. The truth was never known to mankind because man did not walk in the way of the divine. And every way that God sent the spirit from the spirit realm to manifest again in the physical form on earth, no man could have known who or what the spirit is, because no man knows how it is God works in the mystery of all things. There were times when your father and mother God sent the spirits of a higher realm to earth to show man that the way he was going was the way that was leading to suffering and destruction, and to show man the way that he would turn from those ways and find a path back to the light that bringeth the satisfaction and joy of God in the world. Throughout many periods, spirits came and manifest as man and earth. Some came from the higher realm to bring good. Some came from the lower realm to bring destruction. And every warning of God to man that came in the destruction, that God sent the many lowly spirits to show man how he was going, no man understood what God showed man. God is always in charge of the world. God regulates the affairs of the whole world. For God regulates the affairs of everyone and everything on earth. And no man understood these things. For even the children of God did not remember that when they were gods, and they also knew the mysteries of life. And these mysteries that they had known gave them the way to be able to be great and mighty and do wondrous things. But they too have lost it. And when they lost it, they were no longer able to be great and mighty, and they were no longer able to return to being gods, walking as man. God warned man that the time would come when that which was given from the spirit realm to man to show man the way that he must turn from his evil ways and return back to the ways that bring it the balance and harmony and peace of God back onto earth. He did not listen. And when God saw that man was never heeding what was sent to direct him in the path that is right and just, God knew that God could no longer send the highest spirits to this world that had not only changed and decayed, but had gone worse because of man's disobedience. Man did not understand God, and he did not know the way God works in the mysterious ways of God. And the many who said that they were gods that came down from the skies did not know that God had sown the seeds of doubt in the minds of men, so that in every way that man was in doubt, he was no longer able to be convinced. These were the spirits of the children that were in the higher realm of spirit that God had sent back to earth in order that they may guide man in the right path, that he may be able to find the salvation of God in the goodness and love of the Mother and the Father God. And no man understood these things because no man knew how God works, nor does he know what God can do, even though he says there's nothing God cannot do. He still doesn't know how God works. And so God knew the time has come when God sends not the spirits of the higher realm, but the spirits of the lower realm. That in every way, everything on earth, when debased before God, God sends the debased to get rid of the debased of this earth. It is for this reason that we said unto you, mankind would experience suffering on a scale he has never before known. Because God showed man in all the ways that he has lived on earth, in all the ways he calls the spirits his history. We had shown him the many evil ones who went into the world and created havoc with the lives of many in the world. And all men read it, and all men heard it, and all men understood it and didn't understand what we showed to them. For they cried out and said, how could God allow this to happen? Where is God? And God showed them that all that they were doing is reaping what they had sowed. In all the world today, God shows everyone where all the many lowly spirits reside. They always reside in high places. They always reside in high places. And that is why God warned mankind that there will be spiritual wickedness done in high places. And every way man heard it, he did not come to your God and ask God, what do you mean? Speak to us. Tell us, what do you really mean? And God would have told man. This whole earth has become so overridden with evil that it is the evil spirits on earth that direct the things that earth is going through. Because God sends back every evil spirit in these days to destroy the evil that it created on earth and to be destroyed with the evil. So you must tell our children, why you said unto them, you must return back to the lands from whence you came, for God has given you your lands as a safe haven. Tell them, God has given a reprieve to your lands. God will recall the evil spirits from the land. And the spirits of those of your ancestors that are of the higher plane will return back onto your lands, and your salvation will be assured because your protection will be assured. The children know not how your God speaks, nor know what God means by the thing God says. And because the children did not find a way to know how your God exists as all that there is, they didn't know that God exists as they exist, as all that there is in them. These things we give you to teach and to preach. We give you always to say the things that come from us to you, from you to the children, because that is the promise we made unto them. From us to you, and from you to them. They must heed what you say to them, for they must know that the God that is of you is of the God of creation. You will lead them back to the path of light. You will show them the way to come up higher. And you will teach them the ways to know God and the ways in which they have never known your God. God sanctifies everything that is given to return, and God grants unto everything that is to return the sacred and divine order of God, so that in all the ways that the world is returned back to its original state, earth returns back to the way in which the children of God brought to earth all that which came from the matrix of the sun, and they implemented the matrix of development onto earth. That is the way that this earth, that was a valley called Jehoshaphat, later to become Golgotha, the place of bones, became paradise, or the Garden of Eden. So all the children of God must know that nothing that they have ever learned on earth or done on earth meant anything to God, nor to them, for it all became nothing. They all end as nothing. And we showed them that they pursued everything that was lesser than themselves. They held on to everything that held them down. For all the material things of this world are useless to mankind. They never last, they never would last, and man did not last either. And it mattered not who accumulated what or how much, everyone saw what God showed them. It meant nothing to you in the end. It did not teach you the way to know yourself. It did not teach you the way to come up higher to God. It did not keep you from dying, because everything that God showed man was to teach man the way in which the creative might and power of God exists to form and to model and design everything that exists in every seen form on earth. Let the glory of God be with you. Let the glory of God go from you to the children of God. Let the children of God acknowledge the sayings of God that come from God to you and from you to them. Let them come to recognize that God sent you to lead them to the promised land. For they must awaken to the things that you say, to the things that we give you, so that they may come to the true realization that the way that you are is the way that they were. They were gods, walking in the humility of the flesh as man, seeing and knowing the things that the tribes of earth could not have known, and mastering everything that God had showed them, that God gave them dominion over, that was on the earth. And the children of God had no way of knowing that when they kept not faith with your God, that they lost every might and power that was given to them to rule everything and everyone on earth. And God showed them what happened. They slid so low that they came from gods and kings and queens and rulers to the most downtrodden on earth. Let this realization sink in to them so that they may know why your God was annoyed with them and did not come to their rescue before. We send you to rescue them, to show them the way back to their great selves, that the salvation of the world that was given unto them be restored back into them, that they may walk the way that God gave it unto them, and they must return back to being the gods they were sent to become.